Alright, this is a film I shot in South Wales, and I'm going to be walking over there to the Worm's Head. So walking along the side of the cliff here, I got a lot of great footage. This was shot in the afternoon, so that first shot was shot in the morning. So the weather had changed slightly, so it wasn't quite the bright blue skies. Not bad there though. So there's this long walk down to the Coast Guard hut, and I was walking along the cliffs here and getting all these great shots looking down. It's quite high up. That's Rossili there and the downs in the background. And this is looking down, and as the camera focuses you can see the people there, and it gives you some sense of scale of it. So I'm hoping this all looks pretty good in HD. Spectacular rock formations. And there's the target there. And I'm going to go right to the other end there. So this is a really spectacular part of the UK coastline. It's one of the best I've been to. So that's why I was taking all these shots, looking down. And that's the causeway. We're waiting for the tide to come out and then we can cross. And that's looking back to Rossili Downs, which I did in the morning, so check out my film for that, which I did by mountain bike. Here's the Coast Guard. And this is the first look of looking across the causeway. You can see the tide is turning and it's starting to be okay. So this is quite dangerous, so you've got to follow the rules here and wait. But you can see people getting ready to go across. So there's people edging across bit by bit. So we've got a good 4 or 5 hours here before the tide turns. But this is quite tricky crossing. It looks easy on the film, but it's not. So you've got to be really careful with these timings. Yeah, you can see there, you can just about get across. Cutting it fine. So this is really good fun, going across these rock pools and all the different rock formations. It really brings out the kid in you. But quite tricky, so you've got to be watching what you're doing. Have to be a bit careful filming as well. And the rock pools are really fascinating and soothing. I think it's something throwback to being a child again. And this really is a classic walk across here. So I took my time going across. We had a 5-hour window, so there was no worry. So this is finally getting across to Worm's Head. A fair few people. And that's looking back to where we came from the lifeboat house. So it's quite a distance. And then looking back to Rossili. And then along the downs. So I went up the first climb to get to the top view. And you're walking along the edge here. It's really cool. So that's looking back to the Rossili Downs. So that's where I did my mountain biking in the morning. So it looks quite tiny, but it's quite high up. So I was walking along the edge, and then you're seeing the bridge there. So there's some more shots as we get closer. And then you see all the rocks there. That's quite an epic crossing across there. It's the first time I've ever seen a natural bridge, I think. Or been over one. Yeah, you see where these people are? Now this is the trickiest bit of the whole walk, because it's quite sharp really, and quite tricky. And there's a bit of me. I think this is the only bit of me on this walk. Now this crossing here This is, as I said, pretty tricky. So I had my bike gloves with me, and you needed to be scrambling across and planning your route across, because there's quite a drop on the coast side. Yeah, you can see here. So you've just got to take some care going across here. This is looking back. Now this is the natural bridge in close up. As I swing up, you'll see some people there, which gives it some scale. So this needs to be crossed with some care, because it's pretty high up. And this is actually walking across the top here, so it's safe, but there's no barriers or anything, and the drop is quite high. So nearly at the end here, just a bit more walking to do. Now this top bit is pretty hard, and I didn't actually make it all the way to the top because it needs a bit of climbing. This was easy enough. But you get to this final pathway here, and this is quite high up. But it's this final section where I kind of I gave it a miss because I had to scramble up. It was up here. You can see here, and the film's a bit misleading because it's actually quite, the other side is pretty well a sheer drop. And even on the side I was on, and I went up part of the way, you can see how steep it is. Yeah, here. And it's quite high up. So I didn't go right to the top. Anyway, it was time to move back, and so I haven't repeated the film. But there's a little bit here of the causeway at high tide to give you some idea of what it was like. Weather wasn't quite as good on the way back, but you can see the tide's still out and it's still safe, and I still had a 2-hour window as well. And that was it. It was a good walk, great walk. Really good scenery. And hopefully I'll do it one day again. Hope you enjoyed the film. Check out my cycling version.